Good morning. I'm Leanne Gavilio from the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Program, and I want to thank you for attending today's observance of Patriot Day. When Congress passed a joint resolution in 2001 to create this special, they called upon the President to encourage people of the United States to observe Patriot Day with appropriate programs and activities. This morning we are gathered to do that, and we hope provide you with a little time to reflect on that fateful day, what it has meant to the country and you personally, and go forward with a renewed sense of pride in how you and your country have endured. We will begin with the posting of the colors by the Honor Guard from the 110th Attack Wing Air National Guard and the playing of the national anthem by the Cereal City Brass Company. Thank you, 110th Attack Wing and the Cereal City Brass Company for getting us underway. Now it is time to take a moment of silence as requested by Congress so that we may honor the individuals who lost their lives as a result of the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. Thank you. And now please welcome our first speaker, Mr. Don Phillips, the DLA Installation Support at Battle Creek Site Director.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How do you hear me back there? Okay, well, first of all, I wanted to thank you. My name is Don Phillips. I'm the Director of DLA Installation Support here at Battle Creek. And on behalf of the Defense Logistics Agency and the Hart Dole Inouye Federal Center, thank you so much for spending this sacred morning with us. In an event that seared into our national consciousness, 4 airliners were hijacked by 19 al-Qaeda terrorists 15 years ago yesterday at 8:46 Eastern Time a.m. 2 of the planes, American Airlines Flight 11 and United Airlines Flight 175, were crashed into the north and south towers of the World Trade Center, respectively. Within an hour and 42 minutes, both 110-story towers collapsed, with debris and the resulting fires causing partial or complete collapse of all other buildings in the World Trade Center complex, including the 47-story 7 World Trade Center tower. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have time immediately following this ceremony, we actually have a girder from the World Trade Center over by the fire department vehicle, which is to your left. The third plane, American Airlines Flight 77, was crashed into the Pentagon, leading a partial collapse of the Pentagon's western side and narrowly missing the service chief's offices. The fourth plane, United Airlines Flight 93, believed to be targeting the Capitol, crashed into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, after its passengers battled the hijackers. Earlier this year, I visited Shanksville, and it is indeed hallowed ground. Never was it more evident to me than when I saw Memorial Panel S-68, dedicated to Lauren Grancolis and her unburned child. In total, the attacks claimed the lives of 2,977 people. I do not count the hijackers. It was the deadliest incident for firefighters and law enforcement officers in the history of the United States as well, with 343 and 72 killed respectively. Now, in memorial to this event, I will read an extract of the following proclamation. By the President of the United States of America, a proclamation. On September 11th, 2001, a group of small and hateful minds conspired to threaten the very fiber of our country, seeking to break the American spirit and destroy our way of life. From the Atlantic to the Pacific, Americans were struck with grief as devastation and senseless loss of innocent human life unfolded. In the empty shadow of the World Trade Center, the remains of the Pentagon, and a charred Pennsylvania field where courageous passengers saved lives, what emerged from the ashes of that day was not defeat. It was heroism, compassion, and the unity of the American people, which no act of terror or hate could ever take away. On September 11th, we recall the true spirit of our nation following these heinous attacks, and we resolve to enshrine the enduring compassion and love of our people forever in the heart of America. 15 years and one day later, we pay tribute to the loss of nearly 3,000 lives, reflect on the treasured memories of those we lost, and resolve to never forget that day, even as we look forward to a brighter and more hopeful future. We draw inspiration from the survivors who still bear the scars, both seen and unseen, of that tragic day. We honor the vigilance of the nation's first responders, even as we heard them this morning during the national anthem, whose instinct was not to turn back and find safety for themselves, but to run into untold danger. And we show gratitude to those young Americans of the 9/11 generation who, until that day, lived knowing only peace, but who have answered our country's call to serve under our flag to meet the threats of our time with bravery and distinction. And as we mourn on this most solemn anniversary, let us also reflect on the freedom and tolerance that define this great nation. And let us reaffirm our commitment to preserving those fundamental values for each generation of Americans to come. Today, we join with our President and our nation in proclaiming this day sacred, this nation free, and these citizens united. For united we stand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. We will now hear from Mr. Ray Zingaretti, Director of the Long and Post Services.
Good morning, and welcome to today's celebration of Patriot Day. It dawned on me yesterday and this morning as I got up and started my day that the weather was very similar. Beautiful skies, crisp, cool air all along the eastern coast of the United States and pretty much east of the Mississippi. And almost 75 years ago today, President Roosevelt addressed Congress about a day that will live in infamy. 15 years ago, America was once again attacked, suddenly and deliberately, as thousands of lives were lost in New York City, at the Pentagon, and in the fields of Pennsylvania, as terrorist actions led to the crashes of 4 commercial airliners. Both actions were meant to frighten and scare Americans, resisting the future goals of these attackers. Both actions failed to accomplish their goals. In fact, it was the brave passengers of United Flight 93 whose resistance kept their hijackers from using that flight to attack yet another target. Roosevelt talked of American resolve when he pledged that the American people, in their righteous might, will win through to absolute victory, regardless of how long it might take. He went to say that Americans would not only defend ourselves to the utmost, but will make it very certain that this form of treachery shall never again endanger us. And then President George W. Bush's national address after the attacks of September 11, 2001, spoke of how terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. Having worked here since those attacks, I've been proud to witness just how right President Bush was in his remarks. Over the last 15 years, I have watched with pride as all of you support our warfighters in the ongoing fight against terror. The efforts to quickly provision and catalog new systems like MRAPs were extraordinary. It took people from this building to the front lines to help troops get what they needed as soon as possible. We've also deployed many others to provide training, communication support, and other critical information and disposition services. The agents in the Customer Interaction Center have worked tirelessly to help people resolve any logistics need that they have that involves DLA. Likewise, the team supporting products and services like WebFliss and the MAP catalog and others have equipped our forces with the tools they need to ensure their logistics needs are met wherever they are serving. As our presidents have said, there is no doubt that the hostilities exist and there is still danger in the world. But I also agree that the resiliency of the American people, especially you serving here, will allow us to face such threats with courage and commitment to do our part to carry on in the memory of those lost on 9/11 and the struggles against terror that have followed. Thank you for your participation today, your patriotism, and the day in and day out support you continue to provide in the fight against terrorism. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zingaretti. Our next speaker will be Mr. Michael Cannon, Director of DLA Disposition Services.
Good morning, and thank you for taking part in today's events as we remember those who cannot do so because of the patriotism and selflessness that led to their ultimate sacrifices in 2001 and the years that followed. I thought of them as I read General Bush's comments last week on the 3,000 who perished on 9/11. When I read the General's words about thousands of young Americans who were inspired to join the military and defend our country against those who would attack our values, it reminded me of one young man in particular. Stephen F. Bias was a Navy reservist who served 2 tours in Southwest Asia as a mobilized sailor serving with DLA Disposition Services. He served with us in Iraq in 2004 as a second-class petty officer and returned there in 2010. This time he was serving as a petty officer first class with the Expeditionary Disposal Remediation Team based out of Columbus, Ohio. At that time, he was the team's leading petty officer for administration and supervised 4 other sailors. During his last deployment for us, he was on military leave from DLA Land and Maritime, where he began working as a civilian in 2008. He was deployed from there in 2014 as a civilian supervisory supply specialist when the 2-vehicle convoy carrying personnel to downtown Kabul was attacked, making him the first DLA employee killed in the war on terror that began 15 years ago. While he was not on duty with DLA Disposition Services at the time, we remember the sacrifices he made in supporting our mission and deeply feel his loss along with his colleagues at DLA Land and Maritime and his family and his friends. Sadly, Stephen was not the last employee to perish in the line of duty for DLA. A memorial service was conducted just a few months ago to mark the first anniversary of the attack that killed Chrissy Davis, who was serving in 2015 at DLA Disposition Services at Bagram Airfield in Afghanistan. The service was held along the road where Davis was traveling when her vehicle was hit by indirect fire. She was deployed from our site at Anniston, Alabama, where she is still very well missed. Wounded in the same attack was her colleague and friend, Rob DeLong. Rob DeLong serves with us at Fort Drum. I was proud to honor his courage along with Davis's when we established our Wall of Honor last year. It's on the 5th floor near the main conference room. If you have a chance in Building 2, please come take a look at it. As the fight against terror continues, we should consider the director's comments that Patriot Day is the ultimate expression of our ability to work through tragedy, recover, and come back stronger. As a runner, I know that a long, hard run can take a lot out of you. There are aches and pains during the recovery period, but the runner will be that much stronger for the next race. The tragedies and strains we have endured over the past 15 years have also left us with many aches and pains, but our recovery from them has made us stronger and better prepared as a nation for the next round of challenges and opportunities as we support the DLA mission. I am confident that 15 years from now, the people here will then be remembering the patriotism and hard work that you expended to leave them a DLA that is well prepared to offer America's warfighters even greater support than they could have imagined. Thank you all again for coming, and God bless America.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. As we take a few minutes to reflect on the remarks we have heard today, let us enjoy America the Beautiful and the Armed Forces Salute, played by the Cereal City Brass Company. you, band members, for that inspiring music, and thank you to our speakers for their comments today. What we have heard and shared together today will help ensure the events of 9/11 are remembered and that the sacrifices of that day and the past 15 years were not in vain. As painful as they have been, they remind us that we are a nation of the people, by the people, and one that will not perish from this earth. Thank you all that have attended today. Thank you to those people that have submitted pictures of the World Trade Center and of the crash site in Pennsylvania. They're up in the Champion Street lobby for you to take a look at. And thank you to the Battle Creek Fire Department today for bringing their beam from the World Trade Center. That is all for today. Thank you.